Well, good morning. It's a beautiful day in the backyard garden. Things are promising. Looks like we actually saved some tomato plants. You remember when we got them, they were so tiny and so frail. And honestly, I wondered if I would ever get them in the ground. But here they are. So let me give you a quick tour of what's happening here. I'll start with the tomatoes since I started talking about them. The cardboard and covers seem to have done a really good job of keeping the weeds out. Look at this. I don't know if you can see this. I can't see the screen because the sun's behind me. Just the dew sitting on those leaves, isn't that something that's just beautiful? I love it right here as well. So if you're wondering how the cardboard and the weeds and the leaves worked out, seems like they've done pretty well. You see some grass here, none over there. I had two plants that were struggling with something, and Farmer Bud came over and said that the roots had gotten some kind of mildew and it was contagious. So he said the best thing to do is just pull them out, throw them way far away from the other tomato plants, and don't touch anything until you wash your hands. So sounded ominous, so that's what I did. So I got 5 plants out of a dozen. I don't think that's a good percentage because we still haven't gotten any fruit out of them, but we'll see what happens. I'm glad they at least are starting to look good. So we got the stakes in the ground. I didn't get the wire frames, but because I thought, all I need is something strong to tie the limbs to. I don't need to spend more money on these things than I'm already spending. I'd rather spend the money on making them fruitful. So anyway, so far I'm happy with the tomato garden. I've got a couple of seedlings growing of iceberg lettuce, so we'll see how that goes. Now the blackberries have just about run out. You may find one here and there. Joshua squash is coming up, which was really amazing to me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plants, and the celery thing is not working out as well as I thought it is. I've actually got some bell pepper over here. 1, 2 plants. And we'll see what happens. I may have got anxious and planted them a little too early. But my online resource, which by the way is called sustainablespringfield.com. Springfield is an old neighborhood here in Jacksonville. It was the first well-to-do neighborhood built after our quote-unquote famous fire. Every town seems to have had a famous fire at some point at the turn of the last century. But anyway, Springfield is now pretty much a ghetto, but there are people that have gone in and they've created some neighborhood gardens, which is a good thing, and they have a website, and they'll tell you in January plant this, in February, and it'll go through each month, and it'll give you some ideas of what you can do. So that's my resource. Over here in the big garden, the corn is doing better. I mean, we've got just a boatload of rain, but when Farmer Bud came over, he said my leaves didn't look healthy. He said they should be darker green, and they need nitrogen. So I got some fertilizer, and I did what he told. He said literally, just take it and run a line next to these stalks. Don't put it on the plant, but put it next to the stalks, and water it like you've never watered it before. So I did that. In fact, you can see some here, the little blue dots. I did that, and I watered the dog snot out of it, and then 2 days later we got the biggest rain we've had all year. So it worked out well, and now the corn seems like it's growing again, and it seems like the leaves are green. the turnip plant left over from last year is just thriving. And they say if you can't grow turnips, you can't grow anything. So if push ever came to shove, I can always grow turnips. So anyway, that's what's going on there. The beans, the bush beans are coming up. By the way, Joshua has some squash that's trying to come in. And I've kind of let him know that we may not get a crop out of that. He'll have to pick something else, and we'll plant spinach when it's cooler. So I had to break the news to him. But the beans are doing well. They're growing up really tall. You got to remember, we planted these, 2 weeks ago, and look at them. And already we're seeing some buds on them. So I'm excited. We ought to have beans pretty soon. So we'll get the boys out here and we'll let them pick them, and we'll teach them how to get the peas out of the pods and snap the ones that are too little, and we'll just do all that with them. And then after we get the first crop out of them, I'm going to give them a week or so and see what else I get out of them. But ultimately what's going to happen is I'm going to replant this area with another round of corn. Hopefully this will be ready by 4th of July. And if I do that, this will be ready by Thanksgiving, so we'll have fresh food. All right, so that's it for gardening. Don't tell Mary I showed you that dirty spot in the backyard. Over here we've got, this is like the back corner where nothing happens. Over here, if you see these flags, here's what we're going to do. We're going to build, Grandpa and I, we're going to build a chicken coop here. And we're going to have a run all the way to here. And we're going to raise the coop up off the ground. And that way they have underneath. And from underneath the coop to over here, that will be 20 feet. And that ought to be enough. We're going to get 6 chickens. 6 hens, no roosters because we live in a neighborhood. 6 hens. We're going to get 4 Rhode Island Reds because they consistently give good large brown eggs. And then there's a breed that they lay cobalt blue and pink eggs, and they call them Easter egg chickens. There's another name for them. But we're going to get a couple of those. That way Mary and I'll get 4 eggs a day. And we'll get some Easter eggs, so we'll get half a dozen eggs a day, and probably share the Easter eggs with the boys, let them take them home with them. So every time they have eggs, they'll have Easter eggs. So that's what it's all about. So anyway, that's what's going on. I wanted you to know. And if you tell my wife, if you see my wife, if you know her, tell her the backyard looks fine. Anyway, let your kids know you love them. Mom, give them an identity of having self-respect, and Dad, give them their heritage. Let them know that they wear your name, and they should wear that name proudly. And never, I can leave you all the money in the world, but the most important thing that I leave you is my name. And please, please don't mess up my name. If you got grandkids, be the heritage. Be the heritage. And just let them know that you love them. Have a great day.